started now. This is webinar 2 for the spring 2017 semester. Today we're going to be talking to Jaclyn Vialet, who's the director of the Health Education Resource Center here at St. John's University. She's also an alumna of DLIS. Jaclyn, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Is that a yes?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Excellent.
Okay.
All right, so Jaclyn, you have prepared a little presentation for us. I want to thank you for coming in and meeting with us today. As you know, we've been reaching out to alumni to cover our webinar topics this semester, and Jaclyn is the first alumna who stepped up to the plate, and we're very happy to have you here with us today. So Jaclyn, if you want to start your presentation, by all means.
Sure, and thank you
Go
so
ahead.
much for having me, and thank you so much for the opportunity. So once again, I am the director of the Health Education Resource Center for the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, and thank you again for having me. Essentially, what we're going to be covering a little bit is my background and how I essentially went from a concentration in law to a health sciences librarian and a solo librarian. So very briefly, I attended the program here at St. John's University, and I completed it in January of 2011. And while volunteering at numerous libraries, completing my degree, and working full-time for the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, I was asked to be the director of the Health Education Resource Center for the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences in April 2011. So very quickly after my graduation. So my concentration, like I said, was in law librarianship, and now I had to learn health librarianship. I went from a brand new librarian into a manager's position, and these were very big shoes to fill. To give you an idea of what the Health Education Resource Center looked like and what I kind of walked into is HERC is still a non-circulating health science resource center, and we have access to health science journals and books related to pharmacy and the allied health sciences. And we specifically support the College of Pharmacy and its programs. So we focus on pharmacy, radiology, toxicology, clinical laboratory science, physician assistant, public health, and additional graduate programs. At that time in 2011, we carried over 1,200 monographs and an archive of print journals. But essentially, the collection itself was maintained by whatever the faculty sent down there to be held on reserve for the students. And its second purpose was mainly to supplement the main library's resources, since the main library really caters to all of the programs here on campus. HERC is really responsible for catering to the specific programs in the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. And so I walked into the position very excited but nervous because there were big challenges ahead of me. And so I took the first 6 months of being the director to really evaluate what HERC does and what it could possibly do and what it should do. And so some of the things that I observed were that we needed to offer reference services. That wasn't being done in our facility. We needed to participate in collection development activities, not only develop our collection in pharmacy, but to support the other programs. We needed to offer research support services. We had access to numerous databases that students were utilizing in the classroom, but there was no real support unless they went directly to a faculty person. And we needed to build a virtual presence. Everything in our center was print. The only way you knew what we carried is if you walked in there, and that essentially was not feasible, and it essentially did not allow students and our users to locate our resources. The other element is we needed to support our main library more in resource sharing and promote the services to our faculty and students, such as e-reserves for faculty and interlibrary loan for faculty and students. And we needed to manage our electronic subscriptions. They were individually subscribed to by department, and you only knew about certain databases depending on who your teacher was. And we also needed to participate in cataloging and resource organization. Our collection was cataloged using Library of Congress, Dewey Decimals down there, ISBN numbers. So it's a little hard to find things when things aren't cataloged. And so that's essentially just some of the items that I walked into. And now in 2017, I've been able to accomplish a lot. We do offer reference services to all of our patrons, faculty, and students, including alumni. We assist faculty and students with the retrieval of journal articles and other resources that pertain to their research. We work with the main library on resource sharing. Um, we have a searchable catalog in Library Thing right now. We utilize campus guides to build our virtual presence online, and it also allows our users to discover what we carry in our library, whether it's journals, books, and what databases they have access to specific to their program of study in the area of interest. Um, we also offer instructional services where I go into the classroom where I work with a student or faculty person one-on-one when it comes to research assistance or database demonstrations. We coordinate events both on campus and virtually, such as webinars like this, to support our users as well. Um, we oversee all of the college's electronic subscriptions now to ensure that they're discoverable and used. And we also participate in resource organization and cataloging activities. But just so you know, that did take almost 6 years to complete. I'll be here 6 years in June because, once again, it's just me. And I really attribute a lot of my success to a lot of the elements that we learned in the program. And just to show you a little bit more that HERC is a work in progress, in 2012 is when I established a system to actually gather statistics. I needed to show my dean that students were using it, who was using it, and for what. And so when we established a means to do that, utilizing a system that we call QSI, we discovered that 93% of our users were PharmD students. And so one of my goals in my 5-year strategic plan was to really go after our other users, the students in the other programs. And so as of academic year 2015-2016, which was last academic year, pharmacy is down to 86%, and we are grabbing a lot of the other students and the other programs that the college offers. The other thing that's changed significantly is reference questions. For the most part, in academic year 2014-2015, we saw a lot of the general reference questions. Where do you find this? Where can I go to the bathroom? Things like that, because HERC doesn't have a bathroom. But as you can see, last academic year, they're really, really scattered across the board in terms of poster printing, research assistance, article requests, and technical support. So a lot has changed over the course of the last, I want to say, 5.5 years. But we are still a work in progress is what I say. And so the reason why I'm telling you that is because I wanted to give you some of the keys that I felt helped me achieve the things that I have achieved with the Health Education Resource Center, and that will help me to continue to achieve a lot of the goals that I have planned in our strategic plan 2016-2020. And the main thing is I want you to remember is that sometimes you walk into this program thinking you're going to be in a public library or a media specialist, and all of a sudden an opportunity knocks on your door like it did for me, where I thought I was going to work in a law firm, and all of a sudden I'm put into a health sciences library. And the first thing we need to remember is our skills here that we learn in this program are transferable. We were taught to evaluate a database from its bare bones, learn about it, learn how to search it from its basics to its advanced. That applies across the board. One of the courses that I took required me to build a wiki about something that I loved. And I was able to apply those key concepts and those elements into building that campus guides page that supports all of the programs in the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. So a lot of the skills you will learn here are transferable here out in the field. My first class with Dr. Rue, that introduction class, the first thing he told us was join every professional organization you possibly can as a student. 1, it's affordable, and 2, it's worth it. I met so many of people in the Special Libraries Association, ARMA, LAGNY, Metro, Medical Library Association. They were the keys. Those people that I met were the keys to filling some of the gaps that I experienced when I entered the workforce. And what you have to remember about this particular industry, or at least what my experience is librarians love to help. You may reach out to a librarian and ask for help, and they might turn your back. Find another one, because they're just kind of some of the most embracing professionals I have ever met. And so, for example, I met a student at Pratt when I was a student, and we were doing a joint event together, St. John's and Pratt University, and she said I had a wonderful volunteer opportunity here at the New York Academy of Medicine. I think you're really going to enjoy it. And at that time, I was looking for volunteer opportunities anywhere because I had all these skills that I could potentially build, and the more I learned, the better off I was. And so when I got this position, I reached out to the contact she gave me at NION. I never met this lady. She didn't know me a hole in the wall, and I explained to her, I need to understand how to catalog, especially a health sciences collection. And she referred me to her technical services librarian, and that technical service librarian didn't know me from a hole in the wall, took me on as a volunteer for her, and we're best friends, and she's my mentor now. And so that's where I say those people are going to help you. That technical services librarian from NIAM introduced me to the National Network for Libraries of Medicine and took me to a conference. And in that conference, that's where I developed my strategic planning skills in consultation with her. So join as many professional organizations as you can. Network, network, network. Remember, librarians do love to help. The other thing I would recommend to you is partner with your professors here in the program. Dr. Becker, who's no longer here, was a prime example of how building a relationship outside of the classroom with your professors is something you're lucky to have, especially in a small program. And Dr. Becker, she was just key to helping me understand management and policy and things of that nature so that I was able to implement a lot of the things downstairs in our Health Education Resource Center. And Professor Monaco, he was key, and he gave me the opportunity to volunteer in his law library where I learned how to organize a collection and evaluate it for weeding. And I also learned how a reference desk actually operated. And so I was able to take those tools and bring them to my library as well. Volunteer wherever and wherever you can to develop your transferable skills and get involved. Again, attend professional events and network. And don't only meet the professionals who are working in the industry. Those students are key too. And you guys start to feed off each other and learn from each other and share experiences and opportunities with one another. Those are valuable items that I took with me. Get certified and credentialed wherever you can. As a health sciences librarian, you can get credentialed through the Medical Library Association. The credential is for as a member of the Academy of Health Information Professionals. It is recognized in the industry as essentially credentialing you as a professional health sciences librarian. There are steps to it, and the steps you climb as you build your expertise and your strengths and the competencies. Find other organizations that will contribute to your professional development because you won't learn everything in the classroom. I'll give you an example. I do a lot of teaching now, one-on-one and in the classroom. So the National Network of Library of Medicines offers free professional development and understanding how to use items like PubMed. They offer free training on it. It's a 4-day training. It's amazing. How to use another free product called ToxNet, things of that nature. MLA also offers continuing education opportunities as well. Never stop learning, and that's probably one of the things, or one of the many things I love about being a librarian is you have to be a lifelong learner. In health sciences librarianship right now, they're telling us to focus on learn how to do a systematic review, understand how to read and utilize and analyze statistics. We have to know and learn how to teach evidence-based practice so that we can share that with our faculty or our clinicians. And we most importantly have to get involved with instructional design and teaching. And a good way to stay on top of those elements, not only in health science librarianship, but everywhere, is get involved with those special interest groups that are within the professional organizations, because they're gonna help you stay on top of what's happening in your industry nonetheless, but in areas that you're specifically interested in. If you're working full-time, and this was another recommendation that I got from a professor, was if you're working full-time and you have a good rapport with your supervisor or your institution or that sort of thing, talk to your department head and see if there are any extra projects or things that you can work on that let you build your library skills. So, for example, when I was a library student here at St. John's, I was working for the College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences as a secretary. And in the department where I was in, they had asked that department chair to start working on our Master of Public Health program. And so I actually helped him search the gray literature and find accreditation documents and understand accreditation for our public health program. And that allowed me to build on my skills in terms of researching and being able to collaborate with other professionals in the field and things of that nature. So definitely, if you have the opportunity, if you have that type of rapport where you work, and see if you can seek out those opportunities. Um, the other thing that helped me too was gathering support from other professionals in my organization. And again, that kind of feeds back off of the other point is if you need to get your institution and the people that you work with on board with you. And specifically in academia, or in my experience, is that people are not quick to change. And so I had to build, and I'm still building rapport with some faculty who have been here for 20, 30 years. And it's very important to just make sure your organization backs you up. And, you know, I remember my dean who appointed me was totally 100% confident that I could do this job, but the person who was going to supervise me thought it wasn't so. And so that's what made me pursue the strategic plan. And when I brought it to her office, I had to change her mind to get her behind me, and the rest is history because we have a great working relationship. My biggest challenge in my position is I'm a solo librarian. It's me and one other non-library person who do all of these things and try and keep the ship running and always growing and being able to support what it is our students need as health sciences and the industry in and of itself continues to evolve. And so what do you do when you don't have that librarian to turn to in a New York minute? You find them. So I can call one of the librarians here, for example, depending on the question, because again, librarians love to help. Or for example, I had a question on evidence-based medicine, and I went to my MLA website, and certain librarians list themselves as mentors, and I reached out to one at the Rochester Institute of Technology, and I said, I need your help. I don't work with clinicians, but I work with faculty, and they need to know how to teach evidence-based medicine. And she supplied me with just so many resources and was so willing to help. So don't be afraid to just stick your neck out a little bit. Books and articles are a librarian's friend. Yes, indeed. I know it's a little cliche, but just consistently learning and reading definitely have helped me. There's been a few professional events that I have been to where I meet other students who have fallen into this industry in this particular area of health sciences librarianship. And there's not too many schools that offer it as a concentration, so you are a little bit out there on your own. So if you are thinking about health sciences librarianship, I listed some of the references that have really helped me close some of the gap in understanding, one, the profession, what it is that we do, because we really do a lot, understanding the resources that are out there that are utilized. And then the last two, expert searching in the Google age and marketing for special and academic libraries. Really, for the general, anyone can read it, but they have a health sciences twist, meaning the writers work in health sciences. So really for anybody out there, but if you have an interest in health sciences, I think you'll also find it interesting and useful. And I think that's it. And I hope you liked my story. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over for questions.
All right. I just got kicked out. No, wait. I guess I'm on your meeting. I don't know. Thank you, Jaclyn. We're having some technical problems on my end, but thanks a lot for everything. Now, before I open up to general questions from the people in the meeting, I just want to know how was HERC organized at first? Because you said when you walked in, you found it a little bit of a mess, and it wasn't ready for essentially the digital age, with no online representation and no searchable catalog. So who was there before? Was it an MLS, or was it just some random person who liked books?
Well, believe it or not, I'm the first librarian to step into HERC in over 10 years. So 10 years ago, HERC was operated by a librarian, and then after that, the rest is really with the history of the college. I'm not sure about the political angle there, but all I know is that as soon as I got my MLS and my dean heard about it, and we had a good working relationship, he's like, "I'm putting you in there." In terms of where Herc was, once again, everything was print. The catalog was print. Nothing was online for our students or our users in terms of understanding what resources they actually had access to. The joke really was, and what I've tried to change, and I think I'm so far being successful in it, is what is Herc. And so I think I'm slowly rebranding the center because it I believe it's gone from what is HERC to, yeah, I know what this is. This is our library, and I'm getting a lot of that from the students, and so that's good. But it took a it was kind of um, a blast from the past going down there and seeing it compared to all the other libraries as well that we've toured and our education just in general. And so it was an adjustment in terms of what's there, and it was an adjustment in terms of how we can change that.
Now, what about instruction? Was you say you do a lot of instruction in classrooms and also with patrons in the HERC? Was that something that you learned in DLIS, or did you have to access outside resources to get best practices in library instruction in academia?
Instruction, believe it or not, I really have had to rely heavily on discussing best practices with our faculty members. Once again, reading a lot, and MLA offers continuing education instruction through webinars as well to kind of get a grasp on instruction. Unfortunately, instruction was not part of our curriculum when I was attending the program. I'm hoping that it is because it has become a large part of what librarians do overall, especially with the technological aspects involved in our job, and really trying to build that information gap that we on a regular basis see. But in terms of instruction, it really had to do with going into those professional organizations, once again, seeking out continuing education and specializes in those areas, and really collaborating with faculty and other instructional librarians to really get into that side of things. So, for example, with my one-on-one instruction now, I do have a formal instruction plan, and right now what I'm working on is really the assessment aspect of it. In terms of, I want to be able to evaluate what it is that they know when they come into my office, what is it that they learn when they leave and utilize. And then the end result essentially would be, how does their research project go? And so those are the areas actually that I'm exploring now, working with my graduate students and working with my graduate faculty to really strengthen my skills in that area. But it's really kind of a learn as you go.
Hi, thank you for giving the presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. My question is about the situation that you walked into. Would you say that your situation, how you came into it, and like things were I guess kind of antiquated. Would you say that that's common in collegiate medical libraries, and is that something that a person interested in that specific part of the field could expect walking into their first job?
I would probably say no. Medical libraries are not as antiquated as ours. A lot of the medical libraries out there, especially affiliated with a medical center or a medical school, are quite advanced. They have a number of staff and library personnel that support them, because they not only are supporting faculty and students, they're also supporting preceptors and clinicians. And so I think the situation that I ran into is very unique, and I would expect that unless it's a small resource center like ours, once again, we don't carry a lot of resources in and of itself. I don't really expect anyone to walk into something as antiquated as what I have walked into.
Great. Thank you for the presentation.
No problem.
Hi, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
When it comes to your unique situation working in the physical, like St. John's Library, but not being necessarily a part of the St. John's Library system, how much collaboration do you have with the librarians that work in the St. John's Library system, and specifically librarians that maybe are concentrated in the sciences?
That's a great question. So we do, within the St. John's University library system, obviously each college is assigned a liaison, and our library liaison she really did assist me in my first few days of getting acquainted with a lot of the services and the services she provides and how we can collaborate and team up and things like that. When I walked in, that relationship had kind of been strained, and I was fortunate enough to build that relationship with her in the sense that we were able to collaborate with resource sharing. You know, what were some of her needs? You know, what were things that we could piggyback off of? So, why do I have a subscription to this, and the main library has a subscription to this? And so, in terms of collaborating with the main library and resource sharing, it was probably one of the easiest goals that I had on my list that I was able to check off because of just how receptive and open they were to it. In terms of other collaborations outside of my library liaison, technical services has been huge in terms of just helping our students with their theses and dissertations and getting them with ProQuest and helping us with our archives because we have so many great archives downstairs to showcase and things of that nature. And specifically, the acquisitions librarian, who's also retired, he was instrumental in helping me understand contracts and contract language and understanding the terms that I was reading in these contracts when we were subscribing to these databases and making sure that they were in line with best practices. And so, like I said, we're fortunate enough to work in an industry where if you reach out for help, people will probably reach back. And I'm very, very fortunate for that in terms of having the colleagues that I have here at St. John's and the main library.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Jaclyn, just one last thing. When it comes to programming,
do you offer any programming in HERC, like tutoring or one-on-one help, or is it strictly resource?
Well, in terms of what I offer our students, it really has to do with, how to utilize research databases, what resources they have available to them, and just basically any question that they potentially have. In terms of tutoring and academic tutoring, the college has developed what we call an academic success center that is run out of HERC. It's overseen by the Dean of Student Affairs in the college, and it was recently added this fall. Actually, it actually just began, and so it's peer-on-peer tutoring right now offered just to pharmacy students. The goal is to offer tutoring to physician assistants, once again peer-on-peer, and then eventually roll it out for the other programs as well. So I slightly oversee it because the actual tutoring takes place in our center, and it allows us to extend our hours a little bit for our students, but really it's a collaborative effort between me and the college.
Excellent. All right, any other questions, folks?
No, okay.
All right, well, thanks again, Jack,
for coming up and talking to us today. Like I said, we're going to be moving forward this semester with more alumni presentations and DLIS webinar. Our next one is on Tuesday, March 7th, and it'll be a panel of children's and youth services librarians. They'll probably bring like puppets and things like that. I don't know how children's librarians act in public. All right, again, thank you, Jaclyn, for making the schlep up 4 flights of stairs.
And make that terrifying elevator.
Right. All right. And that's the end of today's webinar, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and the video will be posted shortly.